Hey there, my name is Alex, I am the Silvermont, and I've got a spur of the moment video here for you. Let's talk about Knight Artorias, and everything he did wrong. Incidentally, the script for this video is titled Artie and the King, which sounds like some sort of weird sitcom. But you see, Artorias is a very popular character in Dark Souls, and whilst I think he has a great design, a tragic story, and a cool boss fight, I don't exactly admire him on a personal level, nor do I wish to emulate him. What spurred this video was a comment I received about somebody essentially taking Artorias as their role model because of his supposed left-handedness. I'm not going to go in depth on that here, but essentially there are two reasons people think Artorias is left-handed. First up, because of this cover, which literally isn't Artorias or even made by FromSoft in the first place. That's a complete non-argument. Second of all, the actual kind of decent point, the Majestic Greatsword in Dark Souls 2 has some moves that emulate Artorias' encounter movements, and the description remarks that, uncannily, every swordsman who inherited this sword was left-handed. That's not really conclusive if you ask me, but then again that's not my point here. My point was, why would you take Artorias as a role model instead of the actually confirmed left-handed character who was in a very similar position to Artorias, but actually didn't completely mess everything up? That is, of course, the Ivory King of Alaim Lois. You see, there's no debate about which hand he uses. He is using his left hand, and both he and Artorias found themselves in a similar position. Artorias was sent to investigate the Abyss and rescue Princess Dusk. Keep in mind, this was happening within stone's throw of Anor Londo, if we're talking about in-game distance. Even if, in the lore, it's supposed to be a lot further away, they are still moderately close to each other, and Ulasil and Anor Londo are tied together, judging from Goth's dialogue. The Ivory King, meanwhile, was once a knight of Ferosa, who left his kingdom, presumably after it fell, and travelled north. Upon discovering the old chaos, he dedicated his life to subduing it. So let's compare briefly what they did. Artorias, with all the strength of Anor Londo at his disposal, jumped into the Abyss with a big dog and was immediately destroyed, only having time to use his shield's magic to erect a barrier around his doggo. The Ivory King built up an entire kingdom, a whole army, to help him quell the old chaos. He built his throne directly upon and above the chaos and used his mighty soul to keep it at bay until his life force was spent, at which point he descended into the chaos with his closest knights in a last-ditch effort, leaving his kingdom to his queen. Oh, and his queen happened to be a fragment of Manus that he wasn't only aware of, but even won her to his cause, overpowering her very nature and the reason behind her entire existence. I know what you're thinking. Whoa there, Alex, you're being really biased. We don't know how much Artorias knew of the Abyss. He was a lone wolf. Maybe he didn't have the entire power of Anor Londo at his disposal. Maybe they refused and only allowed him to take Sith. That's possible, sure, but the point I have here remains the same. Artorias and the gods displayed hubris of an unreasonable scale in response to this threat. Just imagine, even if Artorias didn't take an army of Silver Knights with him into the Abyss, why didn't he station Silver Knights around the Abyss? That way, anything crawling out of that hole is going to be fried by lightning before it has a chance to make a nuisance of itself. Even if we ignore how the Silver and Black Knights might be susceptible to the Abyss, don't forget that Anor Londo also had demons at its disposal, the Batwing demons, and whilst we don't know exactly how demons react to the Abyss, I think there's a good chance they wouldn't be too upset by it. But no, Artorias pulled a YOLO. See, whilst I enjoy Artorias as a character, I don't think he's an admirable one. Is a rushed, meaningless sacrifice worth anything? And let's face it, he probably didn't go in there with that intent. He just did what little he could after failing to prepare properly, and we were forced to clean up each and every one of his failures, personally, from destroying Manus to saving Dusk and Sif. Does that sound like a hero to you? Compare with the Ivory King's approach. He created a fortress upon the chaos, surrounded it with an immense wall, and stationed powerful soldiers in an attempt to keep it locked away. He even had the foresight to leave some of his warriors sealed away in the hopes that a future hero, that is to say you, might awaken them and utilise their strength against the chaos. Very easy to compare with Artorias of just randomly putting a shield around Sif, and fingers crossed someone's going to save Sif in time. And let's talk about Alsana for a moment. She is the incarnation of her father's fears. Manus had several daughters that we know of, each of them representing a powerful emotion: desire, wrath, solitude, and fear. All powerful emotions, and whilst it's subjective which of them may be the strongest, I don't think you'd be wrong to claim fear is. Fear is perhaps the most basic instinct in living beings, you could say. Self-preservation is a form of fear, after all, the fear of death. Something instilled in just about every living thing there is from the moment it is born. Before it even knows who they are, what they are, they want to preserve themselves, their existence. Alsana represents fear, and she attached herself like a leech to the strongest soul she could find, that of the Ivory King. Yet, he seemed aware of this and sheltered her all the same. The bond between them was so powerful that Alsana overcame her literal point of existence. Her one wish changed from self-preservation to wishing her lord freed from the chaos. She remained in Aleum Lois alone to contain the chaos. That should tell you a lot about just what the Ivory King was able to inspire within others. So at the end of the day, I'm not saying Artorias is a bad character, far from it. Dark Souls presents you the facts and the story of Artorias, and you are free to make up your own mind. In my opinion, the game neither condemns nor praises him to a great extent, but when the game first came out, after a year of all this speculation, we finally got the Artorias of the Abyss expansion, and we were able to confront him. And yet, although the boss fight was a good one, and the expansion expanded our understanding of the world and story to such a great extent, it also told us just how much of a failure Artorias was. Alvina wasn't lying. Our Abyss Walker, in his own words, availed us nothing. You might argue the end result is the same. Artorias and the Ivory King both failed in the end, and it was left to us to clean up. But look at the two of them again. Play through Ulasil, play through Aleum Lois, read all the item descriptions and all the NPC dialogue, and think about it. What makes a hero is a very subjective question. But tell me, which of those two would you call the hero?